First hour of the show, we had a poll question. Who got the better end of yesterday, the Niners or Jimmy Garoppolo?
I'd say it's a good question. I think the Niners, because they believe they've got a team that should compete for a championship this year. They think they're going to have the best defense in the league. As long as a couple things happen along their offensive line, they should have one of the best run games in the league. And so they've got the best situation, I think, for a quarterback you could argue in all of football, like for any quarterback to step into. And so, I think having insurance at that position, if Trey Lance gets hurt, and there's a lot to this, right? Like, but if Trey Lance gets hurt, having insurance at that position with a guy who's gotten you to the NFC title game 2 of the last 3 years and to a Super Bowl, and maybe like one throw away from winning a championship, I think creates a great situation because you've got the ceiling there now with Trey Lance and what they believe Trey Lance can be in time. And you've also got the safety net of Jimmy Garoppolo.
I just wonder, though, how does this help Trey Lance?
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to, it's his team. We've been told it's his team, but it's sort of your team now. So help me understand that.
Yeah, well, I think it's probably important to take everybody through how this happened first, right? So I think the Niners were legitimately surprised that they couldn't find a suitor for Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, they think that he's better than a lot of starting quarterbacks in the NFL, right? And so, like, I think over the last few weeks, it was how do we think about this creatively? And obviously, a part of it had to be approaching Jimmy Garoppolo about it and saying, if we can't find the right situation for you out there, would you be open to coming back?
Okay.
And then it's talking to Trey Lance, which they did ahead of the decision. It's talking to the other leaders of the team. And my understanding is that a big part of those talks was making it abundantly clear to everybody. Trey Lance is our starter. We're going to stick with Trey Lance through any inevitable bumps that we might hit. So they felt like they had to establish that with everybody. And this part's a really key part. Jimmy Garoppolo had to be willing to come back making less than Trey Lance was. The average on Trey Lance's contract is over $8 million. So one of the things that was made really clear to Jimmy was, if we're going to bring you back, your base pay and this is hugely important from an optics standpoint, has to be less than what Trey Lance is making. And that took I think that took some pride swallowing from Jimmy, because the number on his contract, wasn't guaranteed, but it was $24.2 million. So he was going to have to go to less than a third of what he was making to get underneath what Trey Lance was making. And Jimmy was willing to do that. Now, why would you do that if you're Jimmy? Because there's a possibility over the next 6 or 7 weeks that a job opens up somewhere else, that someone falls on their face, that someone gets hurt. And now, because you got the no trade clause, you can sort of control your destination if the Niners want to trade you. It allows the Niners to kind of keep that asset alive for the next 2 months. It gives the Niners great depth at the position. And oh, by the way, like, to get Trey Lance going, they're going to have to play him a little bit differently. They can't run the conventional Shanahan offense. Like, they're going to have to do some creative things with him as a runner. And there's some risk that's associated with that. So if Jimmy gets in because Trey gets nicked up and plays for 2 or 3 games, if you're talking about like this from a long-term perspective for Jimmy Garoppolo, and the goal is to become someone's starter in 2023, is there a situation out there that's better for him personally to really shine in and look great in than the one San Francisco is presenting him? An offense he knows, teammates he knows, really good talent around him. So I think you have to add all of those things up. And I think this would be different if there was like a clear-cut suitor for Jimmy Garoppolo out there. But because of the timing of the shoulder surgery, that never really materialized. And so it left them in this position where they had to do something creative. And again, like, I think the keys are here. Jimmy's making less than Trey. This doesn't happen unless Jimmy's willing to take less than Trey in base pay. And it's been made clear, not just to Jimmy and Trey, but also to the other leaders in the team, the guys like Fred Warner and Nick Bosa and Deebo Samuel and Trent Williams. It's been made clear to all of those guys that Trey Lance is our guy. And absent injury, we plan on riding through any sort of bumps with him.